In a world where women's sports is being transformed, the Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Hey everyone, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and welcome back to another episode of What Was That? Ben Shapiro's right-wing media company, The Daily Wire, released a trailer for their new transphobic comedy, and it reminded me just how cringy and lazy conservative comedy really is. Once again proving that Republicans don't actually know how to be funny. Well, intentionally, that is.
I'm sorry that we had to watch that together. Maybe we'll do better next time.
Look, I'm calling it now. Their new movie, Lady Ballers, will do as poorly as their other movie, Terror on the Prairie, starring anti-Semite Gina Carano. Lady Ballers is about a down-on-his-luck former high school basketball coach who will do anything to win, which in this case means leading his team of men to don wigs and brutally dominate in multiple women's sports. So basically, they took the 2002 movie Juwanna Mann, but made it about a bunch of triggered, insecure men and then covered it in transphobia. Republicans get so triggered by something that is not actually a problem. Not only has the NCAA allowed transgender athletes to compete since 2011, but out of 200,000 women in college sports at a given time, about 50 are transgender. That is only 0.025%.
Just admit it.
Okay, fine. I was faking the whole time.
And you said we should make a fictional film about this topic. Now, to be fair, I think I'd actually suggested to the Crane Boys that they do this as a doc.
Yes.
I originally went to them and I said, you guys should go try out for a bunch of ladies' leagues. And that became not possible because, as it turns out, most ladies' leagues don't allow in actual men. And they weren't willing to go the full distance in terms of what it would require in order to, the actual hormone treatments and everything to play in some of the ladies' leagues. But in any case...
He just admitted it. Guys?
The Republican Party loves to scream, "Save the children," but they also seem to think that middle-aged men in bad wigs beating up girls is hilarious.
One can even be trans-age now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
The movie is both written and directed by Jeremy Boring, co-founder of The Daily Wire, who also plays the head coach. And much like his name suggests, his debut performance comes across as...
boring!
And if you don't know who Jeremy Boring is, here's a preview.
If 5 million people came out today and said the N-word, I'm not recommending it, but no one would ever get fired for saying the N-word again.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to.
You wouldn't be able to. You would have brought that to a conclusion. That little absurdity in our culture would be brought to an end.
But back to the movie, which looks like
One big pile of shit.
the 3-minute trailer showcases what I imagine is the movie's best moments, giving the impression that the entire movie revolves around the same cringy transphobic jokes for 90 minutes. But according to MAGA, there's nothing funnier than mocking a community that already faces verbal and physical abuse on a daily basis. But if that didn't persuade you to sign up for Daily Wire Plus, maybe this will. Lady Ballers features all the kings of comedy, such as Ben Shapiro, a guy so triggered by the Barbie movie that he bought dolls to light on fire just to own the libs. Michael Knowles, the failed student film actor and moronic transphobe. Ted Cruz, the cowardly senator who blamed his daughters for Cancun and won't defend his wife from insults. Matt Walsh, the creepy guy who lives out of his car and has suspicious internet search history, who, by the way, looks a little too happy to be in this scene from the trailer. But I guess it's true what they say. Those who scream the loudest have the most to hide. Seriously, for a group that calls other people groomers, Republicans sure are obsessed with everyone else's genitalia.
That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
And finally, Tyler Fischer, a cringy TikTok comedian who is somehow less funny than Rob Schneider and Jim Brewer combined. Fischer is so unfunny that he got heckled by CNN journalists during a brutal set at a DC media dinner.
What's that? Tell a joke? Your entire news media organization's one big joke. Fake news, right? Fake news. We call it fake news, right? So sad. Nasty CNN interrupting me. So sad. So sad. All right, I'll tell a joke. What's your mom's name?
Now, when I mentioned the name Tyler Fischer, most of you probably said this.
What?
Which is totally understandable since Fischer is another one of these MAGA comedians who say the same unoriginal, bigoted, bottom-of-the-barrel jokes and then whine about no one hiring them. No, really, Tyler Fischer went on Dr. Phil to cry and claim that he was rejected by a talent manager because he was a white dude.
This is destroying people's lives. Yeah. You know, the manager that told me, I can't work with you because you're white.
Is it actually because you're a white guy, or is it because you're an untalented comedian whose only jokes are about things like pronouns?
Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Oops, that was Ted Cruz.
My pronouns are kiss my...
Sorry again, that was Roseanne Barr. One more try.
I identify as kink forward, two-spirit, triple distilled, queer adjacent, Mexican wrestler woman.
Look, I just got my 19th booster shot, okay? You think you have control over my body? I am a menstruating person, a person of menstruation.
Tyler Fischer is similar to other MAGA content creators like conspiracy theorist and rage bait YouTuber JP Sears.
By the way, this is my good friend Tyler Fischer. He's a comedian. We've done videos together, and I want you to know I know him, and he's a lady with a beard.
JP Sears is another person who went off the f***ing deep end during the COVID-19 pandemic. He went from making videos like this.
I believe that anything, whether it's bans on gay marriage, gay rights, whatever it is, I believe anything that creates a separation ultimately is diminishing and harmful.
To making videos like this.
My favorite thing about me is that I'm a trans, hetero, gay, mostly non-binary, queer, tax-exempt, asexual celiac. And my pronouns are he/ha victim.
The GOP is a one-joke party, and their comedy consists of punching down on various marginalized groups. They typically focus their humor around a limited set of themes, such as portraying freedom-fighting gun owners, expressing anti-LGBTQ opinions, and engaging in anti-vax content, which I find ironically amusing about people like Sears in an unintentional and hypocritical kind of way. Republicans lose their shit over vaccines, but then happily inject themselves with testosterone on a regular basis. You know what? Who knows? Maybe steroids are to blame for JP Sears' god-awful comedy.
It's not.
Oh, and somehow, JP Sears' stand-up is even worse than Tyler Fischer's. Here is JP Sears performing at Representative Dan Crenshaw's 2022 Youth Indoctrination Summit.
But I think this is going to be a confusing civil war, right? Because you think about the last one we had. It was the North versus the South. Those are two very clearly defined sides and directions. But this one, the left versus the right, how confusing is that going to be on the battlefield? You won't know who to kill. Be like, Captain, where's the left? He's like, you're over there on the right. Well, is that my right or your right? He's like, oh, yeah, that's a good question. That's my right, your left. Roger that.
People like Fischer, Sears, or even those meathead Hodge twins are unable to think of anything other than attacking people and punching down. I mean, it doesn't take a comedic genius to figure out why you could hear a pin drop during Tyler Fischer's terrible set at a DC media dinner.
You didn't laugh at that. You are a pedophile. CNN, table 4, gotcha. This is all set up. You're on to catch a predator. Lock the door. Lock the door. All right, we got this guy. He's got the pedophile glasses on, too. Look at this guy, right on the nose. You get a good look, pal, huh?
So, in a desperate attempt to try to get someone to laugh, Fischer resorted to calling his audience pedophiles.
Bad idea.
Because, hey, when no one laughs at your awful jokes, you can always attack them.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
And I bet Fischer would say that he's just an edgy comedian who tells it like it is. You know, like Donald Trump.
I tell it like it is.
But then again, Trump's comedy consists of joking about sexual assault, so the bar is pretty low. Here's the thing, being edgy doesn't make you funny. It just makes you a bigoted asshole. Punching down on marginalized groups is not only lazy, but it also exposes how desperate someone is to get a cheap laugh. The best way I can describe punching down is like junk food from a liquor store. There's no nutritional value, it's unfilling, and it doesn't provide any long-term benefits. But that is what Republicans want, instant gratification for a bigoted and regressive joke. And one of the actual kings of comedy, George Carlin, had a similar opinion about this back in 1990.
I would defend to the death his right to do everything he does. The thing that I find unusual, and it's not a criticism so much, but his targets are underdogs. And comedy traditionally has picked on people in power, people who abuse their power. Women and gays and immigrants are kind of, to my way of thinking, underdogs. And, you know, he ought to be careful because he's Jewish. And a lot of the people who want to pick on these kind of groups, the Jews are on that list a little further. You got women, gays, gypsies, blah, 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 and suddenly you find Jews. And Andrew,
suddenly Andrew's arrested.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, obviously he should do what he wants. And
why does he get away with it, do you think, then?
Well,
we have never laughed at jokes about the
Well,
poor.
he's appealing. I think he's appealing largely. I think his core audience are young white males who are threatened by these groups. I think a lot of these guys aren't sure their manhood because that's a problem when you're going in through adolescence. You know, am I really? Could I be? I hope I'm not one of them. And the women who assert themselves and are competent are a threat to these men, and so are immigrants in terms of jobs.
Here's the thing. Conservative comedians, or edgy comedians for that matter, lack the necessary empathy and intelligence to write a high-quality joke. Their whole personality is fixated on bigoted, isolationist, extremist ideologies, and of course, Donald Trump. So when it comes to the Daily Wire and every other Republican who thinks they're edgy or funny, just stop. Please stop ruining comedy for everyone else. Just do us a favor and leave it to the professionals because it's getting pathetic.
It's so pathetic.
Well, that's all for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and feel free to follow me at I am Gabe Sanchez. If you liked today's episode and want to support me as an independent creator, you can join my personal Patreon and pick your tier to unlock exclusive content and perks not available to the public. Think of it like having backstage access to my content. You can subscribe at patreon.com/IamGabeSanchez. So until next episode, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?